Forget about how she's seated. I mean, she's crazy, but it's all good. It's going to be crazy. You will learn a lot from this interview, and you get to share with others. You're welcome, Ayona.
Thank you very much.
How do you call this pose?
Well, it's called allow eration pose.
So the first video was a bit in jest, but what I wanted to show is that in this new era of like open promiscuity, if you will, where you can do what you like and men and women can date the same way, but really it's just all women dating like, or many women dating the way the top 20% of men date. You're having a lot of young ladies trying to come up with ways to deal with or rationalize the situations they're in, and I think it's just taking a toll on them. So you see this TikTok here has 500,000 likes that call after 3 months of not talking. Now, this is not a relationship, right? It's not a relationship, but when Chad calls, you answer, right?
Hello.
Where you at?
I am out of the country.
Man, quit lying, man. Where you at? Pull up on you.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm in Atlanta.
Well, I'm about to come pick you up. And I ain't seen in a minute. Man, my bad for that last situation. No, I ain't never made for.
Now, I haven't seen you in 3 months. My bad for that last situation. What do you call this? This is not a relationship. It's not a toxic relationship. It's a situationship. And if you have proper vetting, then people will know your brother, your father, your uncle, they can spot this a mile away. Hey, Miss Lady, this is not what you think it is. You gotta drop that. That's not what it is. But continuing.
Ain't for none of that to go down like that. No, you still with this girl and that girl, but nah, I ain't doing none of that. I don't put you in no bad situation, no way. Man, Deja, already know how you make me feel.
You know how you make me feel. You want to believe it.
So I'm gonna come.
Right now?
Yeah, right now.
Alright, pull up.
And that's it. Now, that is supposed to be what a relationship is in, I don't know, 2023. And that's not a relationship. That's a situationship at its finest. And if you have proper vetting around you, you know that.
Allow eration. So
you see this one, 103,000 likes, right? What happens after a toxic relationship?
What happens after a toxic relationship?
Situationship.
After a toxic relationship, you go through these cycles of desiring them more than anything in the world, and also simultaneously hating them and feeling guilty for it because you don't want to hate them out of the fact that you had love for them at one point, and you also don't want to feel. Okay, so I'm trying to make a way to rationalize the fact that he wanted a situationship and that's what he got, and I thought that I could use my facilities to motivate him to something more serious. And your grandparents could have told you that doesn't work. Feel like you want to be with them because you know how much they hurt you. And when you talk to people about it and they're like, how could you care about someone who hurt you so much? It doesn't make sense. How could you care about someone that hurt you so much? You can hear the attempt at rationalizing this. I am trying to do everything I can to make someone who is in a temporary relationship with me love me as if they are my potential husband. And that's not how Chad works. That's not how Tyrone works. Tyrone, Chad, they're lawnmowers. They cut grass. And these young ladies, and you see it over and over, go to TikTok and type in pound toxic relationships. It's off the charts. It is off the charts. There are so many young ladies that are trying to rationalize why they could not make Chad commit. And what really makes me think about, or what I really think about when I watch a lot of these TikToks, is that these young ladies they're not going to be wives. There's too much emotional damage. You can't get over it. And
there's so much of it.
Allow erosion.
More rationalization. So you'll see all of these kinds of ways that young ladies have to kind of do mental gymnastics to try and make sense of the fact that they can't get what they want.
You want to know something? You will get over him. I, for the longest time, was like so sure. Like I would have bet everything that I owned on this relationship that I had working out. And
so I'm not sure if any of you guys are watching, but if you've ever been in a long-term relationship, there's this thing called communication where after the first anniversary, you start talking and saying, oh, I like you. Do you think this is going to go somewhere? And then you date a little bit longer and then you start talking about maybe possibly getting more serious, maybe even getting rings or setting dates and stuff. If you're not doing any of this, you're not in a relationship. Okay, you're in a situationship, so it shouldn't be a surprise. Continuing.
And it was so bad for me. Looking back on it, like I literally used to lay on my living room floor and just sob. Like not the cute kind of like, oh, like I'm sad. No, like my whole body was rejecting this man and I refused to let it go.
Her whole body was rejecting the guy, but she still tried to love herself through it when all she was in some kind of situationship, whatever. And look, you can look at all of these young ladies and you can tell that it's taking a toll on them. They're not the same women that they were before all of this stuff happened. And there's no way to undo it. And what I think is happening on a national scale is you're just seeing a lot of young women being broken because they're getting the actual contact with the Chads, the Tyrones, the top level guys, and they're trying to rationalize how they could not turn those close, intimate relationships, at least physically anyway, into something more romantic. And this is why vetting is such an important thing, because if you had your grandfather, your father, your brother, or uncle say, look, man, that dude is not serious. Like, and there are certain ways we can tell he's not serious, but once you remove that blanket covering, that kind of, that way of just protecting young ladies from what Chads do, you just get, type in that pound toxic relationships and you'll see it. It is amazing how many distressed young ladies are on there saying, I don't know how to rationalize the fact that the dude that's dating 3, 4, 5 different women at the same time did not drop all of them and have an exclusive relationship with me.
Allow erosion.
So what are the gurus telling these young ladies? Well, I would consider Matthew Hussey a guru.
I don't care what age you are right now, do not chase someone who's showing you that they're not sure about you, or that they're not respecting you, or that they're not thinking about you. I don't care.
Now, if you look at this advice, it seems to make sense on the surface, but look, you saw the one TikTok and it was her pretending, but you see it gets 500,000 likes. Your guy calls you after not talking to you for 3 months and you're happy that he's coming over. What do you think he's been doing for the last 3 months? And it's after the encounter is some kind of way of trying to rationalize it so that it's a toxic relationship when it's not even that. It's just the guy's just coming over to holler at you for a few minutes. And how do I know that it's all Tyrones and Chads doing all this damage? Come on. We've seen the chart. We know the chart. This is 2018, pre, COVID, right? If you expand this out 5 years, that green line might be over 40% now. Easily over 40%. Regular run-of-the-mill guys that are just head down going to work, guys, whatever, that group is getting bigger, and the group of guys that are doing the damage, they're lawnmowers, and it's just breaking these chicks. Like, just type in toxic relationships and you just see like just this trail of young ladies that are just getting wrecked by this emotionally, and there's no answer for it. And here's the rub. when guys put their head down and grind, you're going to grind until you get to the point where you can be a quote unquote Chad or whatever, or at least you can be in a bargaining position. Then you're going to want your woman. And what I see when I type in those pound toxic relationships, those women can't function as wives. They can't. If I were with someone and some toxic ex called them from 3 months ago and they answered their phone, I'd lose it. I'd lose it. You can't have someone that's dealing with that kind of trauma from broken relationships they hope that work, and they just try and be in a normal, functioning, healthy relationship after they've dealt with years of toxic relationships where a guy would call them once in a blue moon and come over, and then they pretend like they're in love with each other, and then he disappears. There's nothing rational. There's nothing normal about that. And we have a whole country of young ladies that are seeing that as relationships, and is breaking them emotionally. In short, I think we're running out of wives. You can't have a past like that and then go to a normal, healthy relationship. And that's why you're seeing so many young ladies go to the relationship coaches, go to all the guys that are telling them the things that make them feel better, because the relationships aren't working. It's sad, but it's the way things are now. Anyways, like, subscribe, catch you in the next video. Later, guys.